and Mr. Campbell, they get rid of the first black quarterback instead of having the biggest fundraiser that you can have on his 25th anniversary. So as the politics of Grambling, we pivoting, you know, and I guess I can piggyback and ask this question too. I don't think that we as a conference lean on our not necessarily historians, but our legendary players like yourself.
Well, they don't
like
do enough. They don't do enough for the guys who played there. Right. So I think that's where it starts. You know, I say this all the time about Grambling. You know, hologram. You know, orientation. You know, I know every school got orientation when you're for freshmen. Right. You know, if I had orientation at Grambling State University, you know, the first thing I'm gonna do, all the athletes, baseball, football, and basketball, you know, the Willis Reeds of the world, all that has been through Grambling, you know, that's part of your class. You got to do something on all them guys to let you know where you really are. So that's history. And that's what orientation is, talk about Grambling along with them guys. You know, that's what I would do. But I'm not there, and I can't make those decisions because nobody want to listen.
Hey, Coach, let me jump in. Coach Williams said something, and I want to talk about the historical aspect of what he said. Coach, I want you to go back. You said you were in your dorm, and there was the coach. Do you all realize the coach he was talking about, the basketball gym is named after a Coach Willis Reed? I want you to think about how amazing that is. That he talking about not only he played for a legendary coach, the assistant coach on the football team was a legendary basketball coach, that Coach Willis Reed.
And look, I didn't say exactly what he told me. I just made it nice. They know what he told me in that room now. If you know Fred Hoppy ain't nice. You know, he wasn't going to just say, boy, get out of there. No, that ain't what he said.
Yeah. But, Doug, why did you leave Grambling twice?
The first time was doing a contract. I'm going to talk about that. And the AD at that time didn't believe that Tampa Bay offered me an opportunity to come. John Gruden, I had went down the year before they won the Super Bowl, spoke to the team, and John asked me, you know, did I want to come and work for him? I said, nah, John, I'm having fun at Grambling, man. And I coached that following year, John called me again. And I went to the AD and told him, say, look, you know, I got a chance to go to Tampa, you know, and they didn't believe it. And then one of the alumni said, hell, let him go. So you know what? I went to Tampa, went down there, signed the contract, came back. And then they realized I was gone. And then the lady who was over the board of supervisors in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, a white lady named Sally Clausen. And at that time, Grambling was going through a whole lot of stuff with a whole lot of things. And Sally Clausen gave him the runaround. She told him, how you going to let somebody, the most positive thing you got going at Grambling, get away? And Sally Clausen and 5 other board members flew to Tampa. They flew to Tampa and sat with Bruce Allen in his office and wanted to know, you know, can we get Doug back, you know? And I'll be honest with you, I told Bruce, I said, no. I told Bruce before he had the meeting, I said, nah, I'm going to stay here, man. I said, because I had a chance to stay. They didn't want me to stay. You know, I love Grambling. I would have stayed a lifetime. Yeah. And
well, I was going to ask you that when you took over as the head job, was you looking to say, okay, Eddie stayed, you know, here, I could do the same thing. I'm going to go ahead on it.
Look, I talked with the University of Kentucky. Who's the coach that coached at the Rams before he came to Kentucky? You know who I'm talking about. He was at Oregon too. He was at Oregon, then he went to the Rams. But anyway, I interviewed for the University of Kentucky, and a reporter said, "Man, I think you're gonna get the job." You know, but I'm at Grambling right after the Bayou Classic, and the next morning he called me. He said Brooks was the guy. Mm-hmm. He said they're gonna get a job to Brooks. I said, man, that's fine with me. I said I'm happy where I am. You know, and Burns, who was the AD at the time, he had worked for Brooks out at Oregon State. So he was obligated to give Brooks the job at the University of Kentucky. And, you know, but that never bothered me because I was in on Grambling. Man, I love Grambling. I would have stayed there a lifetime. Even the second time, I would have stayed there. That's why I came back. You know, but that's the way it goes. And some people don't look at it from from the same lens that you look in.
You know, one of the things you said last time you were on the show, and it was very poignant the way that you said it. And I went back and listened to it several different times, and you just kind of repeated what you said. You said if it was up to you, you would retire, you still be at Grambling coaching if you had your way. Now, I'm not saying that you want to coach at Grambling right now, but that was your sentiments at the time when you were the head coach at Grambling, and it lets me know that we do have men of great character and great influence who want to work and provide the same level of support and leadership that once Eddie Robinson did, or Marino Chasm, or W.C. Gordon. There are men that want to do that, such as yourself, but for whatever reason, the institution doesn't see fit for that to happen anymore.
But
do you have any input as to why that's very difficult now?
No, I mean, I love Grambling, but you know what I enjoy more than anything, and I think the same reason why Coach Robinson coach, Casson coach, Johnnie coach is dealing with the young men. You know what soothes me more than anything now? When I get a chance to go back to Grambling to a game or what have you, and I run into the guys that I coach, you know, and they got their wives and their family and stuff, and they come back, and, you know, then they say, thank you, coach. You know, you might have been hard on them. They probably think you was too hard on them, but now they say, thank you, coach. You know, I get calls all the time. I got a guy named Mark Hall. Mark Hall called me once a month, you know, and Mark work out all these professional guys, but he checking on me. Jason Hatcher calls me all the time. You know, to me, at my age and my stage of my life, that's the most important thing to me, is to know that I touched somebody during that time. And then, you know, I enjoy coaching, man. That was it.
I know we can't keep you long, man. You know, hey, we up in them years now. One question, Coach. I always say, we got Swag TV right now. I think it's wonderful. I think it's great, but I think we could really do better. I think if black colleges get together, especially back in your years, y'all sold out everything. Everywhere y'all went, y'all sold it out. New York, Houston, Japan, everywhere y'all went.
Detroit, you know.
I just think that if the MEAC and the SWAC get together and put together their classic games, where you're gonna see 50, 60,000 every weekend, that we could get a $500 million contract from somewhere. The way the SEC has done it, Notre Dame has done it. The Swag TV, man, is wonderful. You know, I believe in it. I think Mr. McCullen has done a wonderful job but I just think that's I don't want to use the word peanuts because it's good and it's great, but I just think we can go get something much, much greater.
Right.
How's your take on that? When you look back with all the fan base you had, everywhere y'all went, Coach, y'all was sold out everywhere.
Yeah, that's true. You know, that was a lot of the
and that was
games.
40 years ago, Coach.
But we had, first of all, you had a great SID who sold the university. Then you had Eddie Robinson. You know,
I go always Wash. Don't forget him.
Al been working with Grambling for 40-some years. Especially in Dallas. I mean, I talk to Al all the time. That's my guy. And just like 1974, when they started the Bayou Classic, man, nobody thought that first Bayou Classic in 1974, when we had 80,000 people at Tulane Stadium. That was unheard of. That's when all the Classic really started. But I'm with you. I think with the two conferences, with the MEAC and the SWAC, you know, they should find a way to cross-play each other in a classic game, each other. And at the end, everybody got an open date somewhere. You find, you know, you can win 1 or 2 games, what have you. And that'd be a classic thing, and sell that whole package to some TV station to know that we're going to put this on every week. We got 3 games that are cross-session, SWAC and the MEAC. Yeah, I think you got to be able to do that. But, you know, it's hard when everybody got their own. It's hard, you know. SWAC TV. I hadn't had a chance to watch much SWAC TV. I've been looking at HBCU Go. You know, I see game on, stuff like that.
Yeah. I talked with the executive today, and we're gonna get him back on the show. But I just think that's the ticket, man. I mean, Notre Dame started it off. SEC does it now. Now the Big Ten, and they get $1 billion contracts, Coach.
Yeah, but you know, look how many teams they're getting them all in there. The Big Ten, they getting all them schools that can bring money, and that give the TV companies an opportunity to pay more money because we got all these people to look at.
But Coach Cole, this is one of the things that I've learned just through my research, and maybe Mr. Campbell can talk about this. We had people in black media telling the stories of what happened each week in HBCU football from a national landscape, whether it was the Philadelphia, the Pittsburgh, they were these black newspapers, Pittsburgh Courier. They were telling these stories about what was happening in the South with these big games. That has been lost. And what we really have now is these YouTube platforms that really cater to an already captured audience. And there's not a media coverage that goes out and propagates those stories about players such as yourself that are currently playing. I think we need a platform that highlights stars such as yourself, whether it be Shaq Harris, whether it be Everson Walls, many of the Grambling greats, some type of national platform show that gives you guys an opportunity to talk about your schools, tell the stories, and incorporate the guys that are playing now in those very stories. That's reliving what you guys did so many years before. If we could have a platform like that would, because you and Everson Walls, all those guys, Shaq Harris, you would bring the NFL fan bases to the HBCU to a HBCU platform that could tell the stories and share what you guys love so much, which is HBCU football. It would be essentially cross promoting the HBCU story against to the masses, but we don't have anything like that. And I wish we could build something like that could really highlight those players the way you guys were highlighted by those black media companies many years ago.
Well, let me say this. I think now too, with especially with me and Shaq, and Art Shell and Willie Lanier and Mel Blunt, you know, with the Black College Football Hall of Fame. You know, one thing we talk about all the time is you look at all the people that's on that board, we getting old as hell. See, some young guys got to come in and take the torch. That's the key.
Me. No, I'm just kidding, Coach.
See, somebody got to come in and keep it going. You know, not only from the Black College Football Hall of Fame, but the Legacy Bowl, all that. You got to have somebody younger that understands, you know, what we're trying to do and try to keep going. Because this ain't just for me and Shaq. This for us. You know, for HBCUs, Black America, man. And that's why we need to get out and support things like this, because we're going to keep it going. If we don't keep it going, who else going to keep it going?
Hey,
you know,
that's why we need to bring guys like Bruce Eugene on the show, Coach, because he's a young coach, isn't he? Doesn't Bruce Eugene coach football somewhere in America?
He's coaching, I think, high school in New Orleans.
Yeah, tell them what you guys have done. Y'all have your own section in the Hall of Fame.
Let me tell you, we just left that week before last, Labor Day weekend, and we sat down with the executive director of the Hall of Fame, and you know, we talked about they doing a whole rehab of the whole Hall of Fame. They redoing the whole thing, and we got a place in there. And like he said, it ain't about money; it's about doing it out. All we got to do is get all the paraphernalia, like stuff from Grambling I played in. They want to build a little thing to showcase that. But being in the NFL Hall of Fame, they don't understand. You know, black folks don't really understand what this is all about. Because, you know, we talked to the College Football Hall of Fame in Atlanta before we even got into the NFL Hall of Fame. And what they told us was they didn't want a Hall of Fame within a Hall of Fame. And they wanted to give us a corner in the room, a little corner. I mean, I'm talking about probably, I don't know, but they want to put the cheerleaders, the band, and all the players in one little corner. And I remember me and Shaq was at the meeting with the lawyers and stuff, and the guy who's running the College Football Hall of Fame. And I told him, I said, hey man, I said, let me say this. I can't go to Mel Blunt. I can't go to Arshell. I can't go to Willia and tell him we got a corner in the Hall of Fame. And the thing about that, Arthur Blank had given them $1 million for us to be in there. See, Arthur Blank been one of our biggest supporters of Black College Football Hall of Fame. We wouldn't have got started if it wasn't for Arthur Blank and another guy named John Piara. You know, that's how we got started. The money that Arthur Blank afforded us from the start. And we've grown since that time. And now, you know, we got the classic game, we got plays up in Canton, you know, we got the induction, the Legacy Bowl, all that. Like me and Shaq always say, you talking about two old country boys from Louisiana don't have two plug nickels. And we working with the NFL, you know, and things like that. So, you know, that's letting us know that people want us to succeed, but we got to want to do the same thing.
You know, you talk about that Hall of Fame game. I don't know if you guys have a multi-year contract with the schools that currently play in it, but do you have a dream matchup that you'd like to see in that game?
Let me tell you about that. We had dream matchup, but you know, we called every school, SWAC, MEAC, what have you, trying to get them to come to play in this game. Now, don't get me wrong, we don't have a $500,000. We don't have $300,000. All we offer you, you know, we can give you something. We can pay for your expenses, put $150, $200 in your pocket, and you playing in the Hall of Fame game. But, you know, we big time. SWAC and MEAC, we big time. That ain't enough money for us. So what we did was, you know what? This is what we'll do. We'll take the winners from the CIAA and the SIAC every year. And the good thing about it, the crowd not big now, but the good thing about it, if you look at our ratings from the NFL and NFL Network, we had 221,000 households. The matchup in the MEAC and the SWAC matchup, you know what they was? 73,000 households. There's a difference. We got national exposure with NFL Network, and remember, they don't have nothing else to put on. So that's good for them, live TV. So they had 221,000.
Right. Well, Grambling and Jackson State game is on the NFL Network as well in Las Vegas.
Well, now from a business standpoint, both games will be owned by ESPN. So ain't no telling who gonna play in them now, because now the NFL Network is owned by ESPN. So with that being a partner in in the game, who knows who may play in it?
Right. Yeah, but NFL Network, I'm just looking at the game. We would love, we had Tennessee State and Grambling. And that was a decent
big
game.
time. That's big time.
I was at that. Wasn't that the first one? I was at that game.
That was the first one. That's right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's big time.
Yeah.
Well, Coach, man, I know we got to let you go done. We could talk all night, man. You one of my favorites, man. And,
appreciate that, brother.
I appreciate all the information you've given us. One of the guys, you guys got anything we need to let Coach get on?
I just want to say thank you Coach Williams, for joining us tonight, man. Each and every time you come on has been a treat for me, and I want to personally thank you for coming on with us.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Coach, and I just want to say, as somebody that grew up watching you, as like I say, saw you come into Jackson and beat Jackson State a couple of times.
Jackson beat me one time though.
Well, they did. They
kicked me and who was talking about? We was talking about Robert Brazil. We was talking about 1975. You're right.
Wow. Now that team was loaded though, Coach. Now that team was loaded.
Yeah, but you know what? In 1974, they had my freshman year. They had Robert Brazil, Jack and Slater. We all was together 2 weeks ago. Jack and Slater, Vernon Perry, Walter Payton, and Eddie Payton. And then Ricky Young. I forgot about Ricky Young on that team.
Wow.
I was a freshman. And Coach Rob told me, he said, whatever you do, don't throw that ball at 52. And just before halftime, I was thinking what Coach Rob had told me. and just before halftime, I hit Robert's ear in the chest.
Did he catch it or
he caught it. But we ended up beating them, though. We ended up beating them 24-14 because we were loaded, too, now. We had Big Hand Johnson and Robert Bob, and we were loaded, too. So it was just one of those things.
It's interesting that, this is just a side note, that I think it's appropriate, honestly, Coach Williams, for the HBCU Hall of Fame to be NFL Hall of Fame, because you cannot tell the story of the NFL without mentioning HBCUs. Pro football was literally innovated through HBCUs and the players that came from those schools, man. It was transformed. The game was transformed.
That's exactly what David Baker, who used to be the executive director, when we first went in, that's the first thing he told us, that you can't tell a story without HBCUs. Yeah. All right, guys.
All right, man, we're in it there, man. Thank you again, Coach, man. Every time I call you, you right there. You never act too big. You are a giant. And, hopefully, man, you get your flowers above the ground. You've done a lot for HBCUs, and I can't say enough, man. I mean, my cheeks grow when I get a chance to talk to a legend as you are. I appreciate you, and thank you for coming on our show.
My pleasure, man. Y'all be good.
Woo, man.
Coach, is there anybody you don't know in the world of HBCU sports?
Coach, man, I'm blessed. That's just a blessing, man, to be able to, I can just call him anytime, Coach, and we'll talk on the phone, man, and just kind of, talk about the day and what's going on. I've had Jay Skywalker just called me. I thought maybe we could bring him back on the show, just talk about, what's going on and what's happening. And maybe we might meet him, Bishop. He'd be probably better in the middle of the year because he got so many games that he can start talking with us about giving us some insight on some of the games that he covers. So, I mean, man, we blessed, man. I'm blessed with you two guys, man. And you guys are great. We moving ahead, but I know we got some stuff to talk about before we get off, right?
Yeah, absolutely. We're going to go through, last week, it was pretty much what we had to deal with. It was a money weekend. We did have two matchups.
A lot of money games.
Yeah. And it was a lot of talk about money games. And this is when I'll let Campbell kind of give the synopsis of what the conversation has been about the last couple of weeks while I'm getting ready to bring the scores up about the money game.
Okay.
Well, I want to talk about one thing that I saw, and let me get that set up as we talk about it. Coach Gibbs,
is he talking low to you or is just me?
No, I can hear him fine.
Okay.
Yeah, Coach Gibbs had a press conference and he talked about the money game. And I wanted to play that for everybody. People didn't get a chance to see that because I thought it was interesting, his point of view. And also I found it interesting because North Carolina A&T had in their run of championship run had beat FBS teams. So let me get this up. And we'll talk about it on the other side once I get this up. Let's get this up here.
Now, Coach, did you have any hard, fast rules? Because you've been in this situation about scheduling money games. And I know me and you have talked in great detail about those, and you had really hard, fast rules about those matchups and how you were very strategic in making those matchups. Could you go over some of those guidelines that you used to make those matchups so that it didn't impact your team or your brand as more severely as it sometimes could?
No, number one thing, these games have been going on at predominantly white schools for years, back in the 70s, 80s, and 90s, for financial growth and financial need. Black colleges got on them late, you know what I mean? And one of the things with me is my rule number one is I'm not playing a team in the state because that's where I got to recruit at. If I'm going to play a team, I'm going to play a team out of the state that the game means something. Number three is that, and here's the problem. And when Campbell bring it up, here's the problem. I hadn't heard you give station, but here's the problem. If the money doesn't go to the football program, to me, I think it's necessary that you play money games, guys. But if the money don't go to the football program, then I think that it's a waste of time and a waste of error. Then me personally, when I took money games, I was getting 10% of the purse. Because, yes, we're going to play money games 9 times, 99.9 times you're going to lose. And that loss is going to go to me and my career. So at least I can make some money off of it to take this loss, not necessarily just there and then now, you know, I got a loss on my record.
So you made them pay you personally for that L.
Yes.
That's interesting, Coach. I'll go ahead and bring this up since Campbell got it up. Okay. You can go ahead and play it whenever you're ready, Campbell.
I mean, honestly, for our team, I don't think it's worth it.
Can you turn it up, Coach?
I think it's worth it. I mean, we've got 60-plus points put on us, and we lost.
Hold on.
You know, for me, it was a good environment, great platform, but is that worth it?
Can you guys hear it?
Yeah, I can hear it.
I mean, honestly,
turn it up.
For
that's a lot is going to go, Coach. You got to have to turn your speaker up. Hold on, let me start over. Hold on.
Well, you probably could is the audience hearing? That's more important.
Yeah. They can hear it. Yeah. Okay. Go ahead.
I mean, honestly, for our team, I don't think it's worth it. I think it's worth it. I mean, we've got 60-plus points put on us, and we lost 3 quarterbacks. So, you know, for me, yeah, it was a good environment, great platform, but is that worth it? I don't know. I mean,
so there you go. So you got the coach saying, hey, listen, got paid, but lost 3 quarterbacks. So, you know, these are things that, you know, I found it interesting because, and this is how things changed, Coach, reason why I brought this up. Now, when A&T had that bomb squad, they had no problem, and they had that great video of Sam Watson saying, now give me my money after they had beaten Eastern Carolina. I believe that was Eastern Carolina they had played and won. And now you've got where now they have hit rock bottom where, hey, you know what? We don't have the type of talent. We don't want to play these type of teams, and we're getting hurt. So, you know, one of the things I wanted to just say, where is the balance at? Where we feel that we do have to play this game, but to his point, where we don't want to get guys hurt. You had Mickey Joseph, who went to Ohio State, and the whole thing, he got those guys in there, got them out, and got $1 million.
Yeah. No, you know, but see, you know, once again, here's the situation. If the money is not going back to the football program, you know, that's where I lose it at. You know, I know Emmett said, well, Cole, if you play an in-state team, you don't have to pay for travel. Well, the money don't go to football anyway. So if I'm going to take a game, I want my kids to get on the plane for the first time, stay in first-class hotels, travel to a Division I school, and see big things. You know what I mean? So if I'm going to play a money game and then the money ain't coming back to me, at least me and my players get to enjoy some of it.
You know, Coach, one of the things that as I've been doing a deep dive into collegiate sports and how it's funded, right? Most athletic departments operate in a deficit, right? Yeah. I want to say a guy said of the 60 Division I public schools that have to publicly file, and this is when I say Division I, maybe FBS. Let's use FBS schools. 37 of them lose money in athletics, and it's only 60 of them that have to file public reports because 60 of them are state schools.
Right.
The other 117 are private schools, right? So they don't have to open their books and let anybody know whether they're making or losing money. So 37 of them are losing money. So here's the conundrum though. I would like football and men's basketball to be taken out of that budget, because if you just evaluate those two sports, those are not the sports that are losing money. Because guess what? Football, most of those schools, 60 to 70% of the revenue comes from football. Most athletic departments, 60 to 70%. Then there's another 20% that comes from men's basketball. 4 to 5% comes from women's basketball. And then the rest of the 6% comes from all of the other sports. And I like to call those sports welfare sports. Yeah, I'm saying this to you, Coach, and how you kind of just when you were essentially the cash cow supporting all of the other sports, the Olympic sports, as well as many other, Title IX sports or whatever. Is that overburdening the football program in your opinion? And I'd like to get Campbell's input as a businessman of how this framework is actually, in my estimation, I think it's misrepresenting what's really going on in collegiate athletics. But you go ahead and answer first, Coach. Do you think it's overburdening football to support the entire athletic department?
Well, I just know this. The school fronted my football program $400,000 to get it going. Scholarships, salaries, travel. And so my whole thought was, or when I play a money game, I think I played Rutgers gave me $405,000. We played Connecticut, they gave us another 300 some thousand. I'm thinking, why can't we ever take that money back and put it away for the next year? And then next year, after 4 or 5 years, you should have over $1 million put away to start your football program over. So now any monies that the football program make, the basketball program make, goes to the other sports. But there's always that startup money where we ain't got to buy or borrow from the school that can go to non-revenue sports. I don't know why they do it that way. I've talked to other athletic directors about that. And some reason that's what they do. They front that football program money out the door, because I know one thing, as a state school, you got to have a zero balance at the end of the year.
Well, here's what they may front you the money, Coach, but it's only a paperwork shuffle, because
yes.
It's only a paperwork shuffle. They front you the money, but your overall revenue that's generated through football, they front you $400,000, and that pays for your travel, throughout the season or whatever, your helmets, whatever, shoulder pads, whatever. And then you get one big check for $400, and then another big check for $300, and you ain't even sold no tickets or took in any donations on behalf of football. So there's still some more revenue to be created.
Right.
I'll just ask Campbell, somebody who's been involved in fundraising and been able to maybe see how the sausage is made. Do you think football is overburdened with the responsibility of supporting collegiate athletics?
Well, here's the problem, and this is never going to change. These are universities. This is not the NFL. It's not a pro league. And those universities, first and foremost, to educate. And that includes men and women. So that's part of, as they say, that's what you sign up for. So while people sit back and say, hey, this is not fair, but again, the college first and foremost is to educate both men and women. So I understand the part what you're saying from a sports standpoint, but again, colleges just don't operate like businesses, and they just can't. And thank God for, honestly, on some of that they don't, because again, I saw somebody, and this was mentioned in another show, that said, hey, some of these schools need to drop down to D2. And I said, no, they can't do that. I said, do you know how many black people get educated because they got a scholarship playing football and basketball? So the mission statement still, I know Ohio State is football factories and Alabama football factories, but still, unfortunately, they still are university and the education is formal. So I think you're never going to solve that problem where you're going to be. And like, but also, Rocky, let's be clear too, because they are not businesses. Ohio State is not broke as a university. You see what I'm saying? That I don't think people really understand that money. That I just looked it up. Ohio State made, and I know what I'm talking about. This ain't no money. Total revenue of athletics, $251 million. Do you know what their endowment is? Do you know they have people that give them $300-400 million just to the school? So athletics is such a small part of the overall functionality of a university. To be honest with you, you got people that donate to the library $400-500 million. So we as people that love sports, I think we really overemphasize the amount when you look at the overall budgets of these universities.
Well, me and you may have to come on and have that debate one-on-one, because ain't nobody turning. There's a reason why they signed a $1.something billion media rights deal. They not turning no money down.
But I'm not. You don't. It's not turning money down. But I'm trying to tell you, they are getting R1 status money. Well, they're getting over $500-600 million in academic research money.
Well, that's what one thing I wanted to do was get Paul, my homeboy from Alabama AM, AD, and the guy from Prairie View, to come on and talk about that. The fans need to know about that and why it's so important to donate money to the university, to the school.
Now, Coach, I know you in a tight crunch, so we gonna get through these scores from last week and talk a little bit about next week, Coach. One theme of this week you're gonna see is the blacks couldn't beat the whites this week. So we're just gonna go through this. Jackson State wasn't able to beat Mississippi, Southern Miss. Mississippi Valley got drove by Tarleton State. And in what I consider an upset, Rio Grande Valley beat Prairie View at home.
Can I say, Coach, too? Hey, man, I'm sorry to the people that's watching. I said that would be an easy game for Prairie View. I got my UT Rio Grande and UT Basin and some of these small schools. I didn't do my homework. This school is actually a Division 1A school that plays in the South.
They just jumped. No, Coach, this was supposed to be. No, Coach, you were right. This school did not have a football team. Yeah. Okay, they didn't have a football team, and I'm going to talk about a little bit about this. So no, you were right, and I'm sorry. But like I say, Coach Jackson is a great. If anybody watched the conference call, he took full. Prairie View should have won this game, point blank. Period. Now I'm not going to sugarcoat that.
Yeah, they spotted them 17, but like you say, and this school just started this program in Division 1 this year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they had a quarterback that had, if you look at his pedigree, he was a real player. And I'm gonna be honest with you, I want to say he was a fifth-year senior. He's a real player.
Okay.
He came from somewhere. But anyway, in the whites beating the blacks, furthermore, we had Grambling took 70 from Ohio State. We had Bethune-Cookman play the University of Miami and take 45. We had your Texas Southern Tigers traveled out to California, Berkeley, and got beat 35-3. And Florida A&M, your Rattlers, went down to Miami and took it on the chin, 56-14. But these last these two games right here, and we'll just mention that Arkansas Pine Bluff took a butt whipping from Central Arkansas. And Central Arkansas is a FCS school, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So they in the same division. So with these two games right here, now I must admit, I did not watch the Alcorn Alabama A&M game. Didn't watch one down of it. But I did see where Cornelius Brown, or Quad, as he's affectionately known, he put on a clinic as a quarterback, and for Alabama A&M, was 25 of 35 for 260 yards, 3 touchdowns. Also ran 7 times for 69 yards, and ran 2 of them in the paint. So, Coach, does it get any better than that, Coach, from a quarterback perspective?
Man, that's what you want to have, efficiency, man. You want that quarterback to be able to extend them plays, and when the protection breaks down, to make sure he can go get you a first down. I mean, that's big. You know, when you can get out of that pocket and get up the field and keep that chains moving.
Now, as a Mississippi guy, I'll let you talk about Alcorn and what you thought about their performance, Campbell.
Well, let me say that I actually watched the game, so let's roll that back. So
okay.
I actually watched this game, and one of the things I want to say, hey, Alabama A&M, the crowd was electric. They were excited. And first of all, let's say, hey, shout out to a friend of the show, Sam Shea, getting his first victory. You know, that I think that is huge, and I think you could already see what he's building. Again, I know the offense is like a little bit ahead of the defense, but one of the things that I think that, and Coach Cedric Thomas, I think one of the things that, and he talked about this on his show, while I think he's gotten players, I think they're just not executing. And I think that really has hurt Alcorn these last 2 games. There are plays that Alcorn has had where they closed the gap because Alabama State was up a little bit, and then Alcorn came back, closed the gap. Looks like they were going to tighten the game up, and then I think Alabama A&M scored that last touchdown to really push them out and everything. But one of the things that I just want to say, looking at this going forward, Alabama A&M is going to be a dangerous team this year. They are going to be very dangerous. And like I said, Quad Brown, like I said, I think was SWAC player of the week this year, this week for offense. Hey, man, I think it's going to be big things that's going to happen. So, again, if Coach Sam Shea can get that defense tightened down, it is going to be very interesting up there in Huntsville.
Yeah. I know,
you know, the Magic City Classic is shaping up as a real quarterback duel if both of those guys can stay healthy. You want to say anything else, Coach, about that matchup?
No,
before we move on?
I mean, it doesn't surprise us with Sam Shade. I know Coach Thomas is trying to put his team together. You know, two good teams, man.
Yeah. And in the game I watched pretty much, even from Mexico. I found an old pirated streamer who was streaming this game because I didn't realize that ESPN Plus doesn't work in Mexico. So I'm going to have to talk to ESPN Plus about that. I should be able to get it in Mexico. But anyway, I watched every down of this, man. I thought this was a sensational game by Andrew Body, though I'll put it like this. He wasn't precise as he was against Alabama UAB, but he was still very effective, and he definitely took what the defense gave him, and to the point to where he was 16 of 25 for 196. One of the things about this game that I saw is they weren't going to let Andrew run the football. You know what I mean? They pretty much, didn't they rush 5 guys most of the time against Andrew, and they just pretty much stood at the line of scrimmage and tried to wall him off where he couldn't run or scramble? It was a very interesting defense that they were running against Andrew. But I will say this, Andrew was not able to take advantage down the field the way he was against UAB, and Southern really played them tough for a half, and then those opportunities that they missed in the first half, Andrew was able to capitalize on them.
Really, what can we say about Southern? They are what we thought they were.
Yes.
Same team, different actions. You know what I mean? Play tough. You know what I'm saying? It's just that they're not letting them come back in the second half.
This was I thought one of those games like last year when they played FAMU, when they played Jackson State, and when they played anybody who was considered to be a good team. It almost like they haven't, in the past 2 years, they hadn't showed up. Now, I don't know if you know the latest development, Coach, about what's happening on the Bluff. The OC has been
Campbell.
Yeah.
Oh, you can hear me?
Yes.
What is he over there doing, Coach? Smoking cigars?
Can you hear me?
Because we can hear Rocky perfectly. I don't know if you can't hear him. We can hear him. He was about to ask you a question.
I can hear him now.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Coach, I was going to ask you, do you know the latest update of what's happening over in the Bluff, over there in Baton Rouge? Mark Frederick, the OC, has been, I don't know if you call it demoted as play caller, but Fred McNair has been given the title as co-offensive coordinator and will be calling the plays for the rest of the season. What do you think about that development, Coach, on the Bluff?
I just don't think it's a winning formula. You still got the same players. I don't like it. I don't like how it tastes, how it is. But it is what it is, and you just got to go with it. I've never been in a situation like that, whether I was on the staff or whether I was a coordinator or not.
So you've never switched to defensive play calling? I know you've always been an offensive play caller, so I know you wouldn't fire yourself. But what about the defensive play caller?
Not at all. I would take the responsibility as a head coach and actually sit down on what they're doing. I think personally they need to go with a 2-back set, 3 wide receivers, and give the ball to that tailback from LSU, and have that other quarterback with some bootleg stuff and just keep the game sound and solid instead of running the spread and you ain't got spread people.
Now Campbell, I'd like to get your input on this because you had your opinions about Southern coming into this season that were met with a considerable backlash. Has anything happened in the 3 games that they've played to change your opinion about what you thought coming into the season?
Absolutely not, because I knew what the issue was going to be, which was they were going to have a problem at the quarterback, which they still do. They had 4 turnovers, 2 fumbles, 2 interceptions, and they just have not been able to win these games. And like Coach said, I think the offensive system that they're trying to run with the player they got doesn't fit. It just doesn't fit. And unfortunately for them, and this is the thing about, again, see, let me tell you something, and I'm going to say this because there are a couple of teams that are in the danger zone. FAMU, Southern, and Alcorn. Every one of these next couple of games are big games for these coaches for a plethora of reasons. So there's no need to hide in that. Like I said, we don't have to hide what is reality. So for Southern, again, they're going to lose to Fresno State. They've all lost to Alabama State, and they got to play Jackson State. That's 1-4. That's 1-4. So again, they've got Coach McNair that's going to try to switch it up. Again, they've demoted the other guy, Coach Fred is going
Mark Frederick.
They've demoted him. So again, I think sometimes you just got to do that. That's part of the things you got to switch it up, because as they're practicing every day, they're saying, hey, we should be better. That's what Coach Gray said. We got talent. I'm not going to argue with them on that. I mean, I believe they do have talent, but I believe it doesn't fit what they're trying to do. So I think it's a very dangerous thing. And again, what I really like, and let's talk about Alabama State. Again, lost 10 starters on defense. One guy, number 3, that came back, SWAC preseason all-conference. That defense came to play. And you saw what only 7 points being put on the board. And the thing about it with Andrew, like you said, some of those throws, and I think one of the things that I know that work with Andrew, if he can get more accurate, that offense is going to explode. And that's the thing about it. But what you also saw, Rocky, is they ran for 170-plus yards, and Andrew didn't have to carry the leg work up there. And honestly, I think that's what they want. They don't want him to be running for 100 unless it's necessary to win the game. I think this type of game, if you told Coach E-Rob, I'm going to get 30 and Andrew will run for 60 yards, he'll take it every time.
What was interesting about this game to me is that Andrew had what I would consider a good game, and Southern was still able to. It wasn't even close. It wasn't even competitive, in my opinion. You know what I mean? It wasn't even competitive. I think in these 3 games, Mississippi Valley ain't showing up again until they take a trip to Bethune-Cookman. And I'll ask you this, Coach, and then we'll move on to next week. Will Bethune-Cookman be able to put up enough fight to potentially threaten a loss in that game, potentially leaving Southern 1-5?
Well, you'll see where the level is Southern's at. Maybe they are at a Bethune-Cookman level. You know what I'm saying? And, that's going to be a good game. I don't think Southern going to walk in and just beat the heck out of Bethune-Cookman. We'll see. They should, but I don't think so.
But what they'll tell you, they got everything in front of them. They haven't lost the conference game yet. So that's what Southern's going to say.
Yeah, well.
Which I love Coach Jackson's answer to that when, Wayne Cartwright asked him about that. And he said, hey, that's not our standard. We choose. If there are games we're supposed to win, we're supposed to win. And I like that.
Right.
Yeah, can you guys hear me? I had a
Yeah.
I just think overall that Southern and Terrence Graves is in big trouble, and I think he's coaching for his head coaching life right now, and that's why I think he leaned on a championship coach to help him turn the season around, like Fred McNair. And whether it works or not, I have no idea, but I think in some way I kind of agree with his decision to do something to shake up this season, because the way it's going, Coach, he's going to be in the unemployment line next year if it continues on the path it's on.
I just look at it different. The power play is the power play. Whose offense is it? Is it Mark Frederick's offense? Is it Coach the head coach, Coach Gray's offense, or is it Fred McNair's offense? How well does Fred McNair know it? What about the terminology? Because remember now, Fred came into Southern. He ain't been there, and I know for a fact that if I went in somewhere, I would want to, terminology-wise, to know to either give a chance of learning the terminology or use it, depends on when I come in there, to either put my terminology in or not. When you get in clutch situations and you've been doing things one way for a long time, then it changes. So we'll see. At the end of the day, we'll see. I don't like wholesale changes. I don't. I'm a system guy.
Well, Coach, Southern has struggled for the better part of a year and 3 games on offense, Coach.
Yeah.
I don't blame Terrence Graves for trying to change it up.
Well, I'm not blaming him either, because at the end of the day, it's his team. I'm just saying, hey, look, I don't want to be on Graves now. Don't point me on Graves. I always speak from, my point of view. But I get it. I just don't agree with that move.
All right, Coach. We're going to move on to next week, Coach, in the SWAC.
Wait a minute. Before we do that, we gotta acknowledge this. Shout out to Sean Jackson, because Coach, we all called it that we thought
yeah.
They won that game. And I'm gonna tell you something. Again, Scotty said him is over on her, but I've always said what I saw about that young man and the level of his press conference. And I think we have to understand how intelligent Deshaun Jackson is. And I'm saying they're building something over there at Delaware State. And that is a very big victory. If you look at the teams with Alcorn losing Northwestern, bad loss. Prairie View losing to Rio Grande Valley, bad loss. And then for his team to beat Albany, I think that needs to be pointed out. And I think they're going to be very dangerous. So I just want to point that out before we move on.
Hey, since we went over there, let's go ahead and deal with we know Howard. But I'm really disappointed about this outing that North Carolina Central had. I haven't even looked at the box score, but I can tell by the score Walker Harris didn't play very well. Let me just take a look at the box score and see what happened.
And this portion of the show is Rocky Miller's Walker Harris hate section. Here we go.
No, well, again, I hadn't even looked at the box score. I had no idea. But he was 12 of 26 for 101 yards, 0 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions. Now, I never coached in the SWAC at all, or nothing like that, Coach. But from my novice examination of these statistics, that ain't good, Coach.
Well,
13 of 26 for 101 yards and 2 interceptions.
That's not. Oh no, those numbers are not good at all. I'm gonna have to talk to Trey Oliver off the camera. Sometimes you're too loyal to a fault. Now I'm getting word that they got a backup quarterback that can really, really make things happen. You know what I mean? And I think he's loyal to this Harris kid. The kid is a North Carolina Central guy. He grew up in the program.
And, Coach, we got to mention these last 2 games since we over here. Virginia State, hey, Coach, you warned us about this was going to be a game. And if it wasn't for Otto, the Magic Man, pulling this one out, this is literally, Coach, remember we all grew up watching the wild world of sports. And Otto literally pulled out this victory out of the jaws of defeat because they were losing this game by multiple scores, and they put in the backup quarterback Otto, and he was 13 of 20 for 173 yards and 2 touchdowns, and he pulled that defeat out of the jaws of victory.
Yeah, what was it? 20? What is it? 16-0 at halftime.
It was 16-7, and then it was 9-23 at one point.
Oh wow.
And mind you, Virginia State had the game won with the last second kick, and they hit the crossbar. So that was how close this game was for Virginia State to win it. And you know, one of the things that's going to be interesting, and I'm going to tell you something. When you're looking at Norfolk, here's the positive side. They had 20,000 people in that barn. They're going to get people into those games, which is awesome. But one of the things I still don't see, and again, I know that's a work in progress, and I think we're always looking for too much for these coaches. But once again, I think defense is still a problem with Norfolk State. And I still, even with the offense, I think defense is where there really are issues at.
Coach, but let me ask you this here, Coach. How do you run for 237 yards and trail most of the game?
Well, you got to be making those 3rd down conversions. Number one.
Let me see what we got here, Coach. I'm going to go to team stats.
Let's look at the turnover ratio.
Coach, you know where to look. Again, last week we knew they were 3 for 15 on 3rd down conversions. This week they were 4 for 13.
That's not good. That's not good. That's not good offense. You want to be 40% on 3rd down conversions. At least.
And as you stated, Coach, they had 2 turnovers as well.
That'll kill you every time.
So in the grand scheme of things, the game was played close. And they let another quarterback carve him up real good too, Coach.
BS3 Network, changing the way you watch TV.